When the missionaries came to Africa, they had the Bible and we had the land. They said, "Let us pray." We closed our eyes. When we opened them, we had the Bible and they had the land. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Your ordinary acts of love and hope point to the extraordinary promise that every human life is of inestimable value. I am not interested in picking up crumbs of compassion thrown from the table of someone who considers himself my master. I want the full menu of rights. Inclusive, good quality education is a foundation for dynamic and equitable societies. In South Africa, we could not have achieved our freedom and just peace without the help of people around the world, who through the use of nonviolent means, such as boycotts and divestment, encouraged their governments and other corporate actors to reverse decades-long support for the apartheid regime. We may be surprised at the people we find in heaven. God has a soft spot for sinners. His standards are quite low. Children are a wonderful gift. They have an extraordinary capacity to see into the heart of things and to expose sham and humbug for what they are. We are each made for goodness, love and compassion. Our lives are transformed as much as the world is when we live with these truths. Because forgiveness is like this, a room can be dank because you have closed the windows, you've closed the curtains. But the sun is shining outside, and the air is fresh outside. In order to get that fresh air, you have to get up and open the window and draw the curtains apart. In its history, Europe has committed so many massacres and horrors that it should bow its own head in shame. In my country of South Africa, we struggled for years against the evil system of apartheid that divided human beings, children of the same God, by racial classification and then denied many of them fundamental human rights. Peace comes when you talk to the guy you most hate. And that's where the courage of a leader comes, because when you sit down with your enemy, you as a leader must already have very considerable confidence from your own constituency. I've never doubted that apartheid, because it was of itself fundamentally, intrinsically evil, was going to bite the dust eventually. I mean, in the South African case, many of those who were part of death squads would have been respectable members of their white community, people who went to church on Sunday, every Sunday. Many people would be surprised that, in fact, I'm quite shy. The minute you got the Nobel Peace Prize, things that I said yesterday, with nobody paying too much attention, I say the same things after I got it. Oh. It was quite crucial for people, and it helped our morale because apartheid did look invincible. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. You don't choose your family. They are God's gift to you, as you are to them. Isn't it amazing that we are all made in God's image, and yet there is so much diversity among His people? Exclusion is never the way forward on our shared paths to freedom and justice. Before Nelson Mandela was arrested in 1962, he was an angry, relatively young man. He founded the ANC's military wing. When he was released, he surprised everyone because he was talking about reconciliation and forgiveness and not about revenge. When you think of the sort of things that happen when a genocide happens, it's again not people who are intrinsically evil. As human beings, we have the most extraordinary capacity for evil. We can perpetrate some of the most horrendous atrocities. You stand out in the crowd only because you have these many carrying you on their shoulders. I wish I could shut up, but I can't, and I won't. Universal education is not only a moral imperative but an economic necessity, to pave the way toward making many more nations self-sufficient and self-sustaining. How could you have a soccer team if all were goalkeepers? How would it be an orchestra if all were French horns? I don't think I've ever felt that same kind of peace, the kind of serenity that I felt after acknowledging that maybe I was going to die of this TB. Niger is not an isolated island of desperation. It lies within a sea of problems across Africa, particularly the forgotten emergencies in poor countries or regions with little strategic or material appeal. In the land of my birth I cannot vote, whereas a young person of 18 can vote. And why? Because he or she possesses that wonderful biological attribute, a white skin. When a pile of cups is tottering on the edge of the table and you warn that they will crash to the ground, in South Africa you are blamed when that happens. Those who invest in South Africa should not think they are doing us a favor. They are here for what they get out of our cheap and abundant labor, and they should know that they are buttressing one of the most vicious systems. In many ways, when you're a Nobel Peace Laureate, you have an obligation to humankind, to society. What is black empowerment? And it seems to benefit not the vast majority but an elite that tends to be recycled. All the United States, it is a society that is split like to the bottom, that had very poor people in the country that is one of the wealthiest countries.